right, reading. Normally, I do not always take reading. However, with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I am, just because it is difficult. There's difficult words, there's difficult situations to understand because we're talking about World War II in England. So language, dialect, there's a lot of differences. So I'm going to tape it. You may not be able to hear all of the writing or the reading, but I would like for you to bear with me so you can hear explanations, okay? All right, so we are on page 14 of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Who can tell me, where did Lucy go? Where did Lucy go? Jonathan. Yes. Does she know Mr. Tumnus?
No.
What kind of creature is Mr. Tumnus? A human? What is Mr. Tumnus? No, there's a specific explanation of definition of what he is. Tessa, a fawn. Do we have fawns in our life right now? In America, in the world?
No.
Baby, we call baby deer fawn, but that is not what we're talking about here, right? Not at all. Who wants to give a definition of what a fawn is? Cole.
So it's like this person whose horns on his head and then goat legs for legs.
Yes. He's half human, half person, and half goat. Not that we see many of those walking around today. Do you think there ever were fawns roaming the world?
No.
No, they're mythological creatures. That's a big word. What does mythological mean? Hunchine.
Like it myths or something?
Yeah, a myth is a story of characters that are not real. Who has ever heard of Greek mythology? Where you have, so that is, and a faun would be part of the Greek mythology as well. So they're made up characters that aren't real, but have characteristics of humanness, personification. What is personification? Owen.
Sound that something makes.
It's onomatopoeia, which is a fun word to say. Onomatopoeia. Personification is giving something non-human human characteristics. So would you say Tumnus is getting human characteristics? Can he talk to Lucy? Does he eat, drink tea like a human? Yeah, so he does have a lot of human characteristics. And if you look on page 15, he has a cute little house, which is a house or a cave that is very comfortable and human-like.
Yeah, that's not comfortable.
So should Lucy have gone to Mr. Tumnus's house?
No.
Why? Why would you say Lucy should not have gone to Mr. Tumnus's house? Ella. She doesn't know him. Not only does she not know him, but what else is going on that is completely out of the ordinary? She walks into a wardrobe and voila, Jack.
She's in a new world?
She's in a new world. For me, I'd be like thinking, this may not be a good situation. I might want to go find my brothers and sister. But Lucy is very kind and sweet and innocent, and so she follows Tumnus to his cave. Why does Tumnus call her daughter of Eve? I think it's kind of cute. Toby. She's a girl. But who is he referring to when he says Eve, daughter of Eve? Toby.
The first three people in there.
Which were?
Adam and Eve.
Yes. That is correct. All right, let us start on the top of page 15. Helen. How about I'm going to read the first paragraph because there's all kinds of interesting titles there. Tumnus's bedroom, and on one wall was a shelf full of books. Lucy looked at these while he was setting out the tea things. They had titles like The Life and Letters of Silenus, or Nymphs and Their Ways, or Men, Monks, and Gamekeepers, A Study in Popular Legend, or Is Man a Myth?
No.
So we just got done saying that, I just got done saying that a fawn is a myth. And Tumnus has a book on his shelf, Is a Man a Myth?
No.
Well, we don't think so, but Tumnus does, because has he ever seen a human before? We don't know. Probably not. So a very interesting way of looking at things, a different perspective. Now, daughter of Eve, said the fawn. Okay, so Helen, you can read. Starting, and really it was a wonderful tea, and you may end. Oh, it just keeps going and going and going. How about you end where it says he had wonderful tales to tell of life in the forest.
And really, it was a wonderful tea. There was a nice round egg, lightly boiled for each of them, and then sardines on toast, and then buttered toast, then the toast with honey, and then a sugar topped cake. And when Lucy was tired of eating, the fawn began to talk. He had a wonderful tale
Mm-hmm.
to tell of his life in the forest.
So he had wonderful tales. Does that mean tales that the tail that he has on him?
No.
What does that mean? He had wonderful tales. Sam.
Stories?
Yes. A tale, T-A-L-E, not T-A-I-L. T-A-L-E means a story. All right, he told about the midnight dances and how the nymphs who lived in the wells and the dryads who lived in the trees came out to dance with the fawns. Common occurrence that we see all the time. About long hunting parties after the milk-white stag. What is a stag? What is a stag? Milk-white stag. Is that a drink? Milk? What is a stag? Cole.
It's like a male deer.
Yes. Generally, when you see a picture of a stag, it is a glorious animal, huge, with a beautiful rack of antlers on top of his head. A stag is generally, if it's called a stag, it is a giant deer. Really big. Yes, Jeremiah.
My dad once caught a 20-inch stag.
Buck. Yes. That's a big deer. All right. I'm just going to read a little bit because we've got a lot of interesting words. So I'm just going to read it because it's going to be kind of difficult. All right. So he talked about the hunt of the stag who could give you wishes if you caught him. So you don't kill him, you catch him. So then he has magical abilities. About feasting and treasure seeking with the wild red dwarfs and deep mines and caverns far beneath the forest floor. And then about summer when the woods were green and the old Silenus on his fat donkey would come to visit them, and sometimes Bacchus himself. And then the streams would run with the wine instead of water, and the whole forest would give itself up to jollification for weeks on end. Does anybody know who Bacchus is? Bacchus is another mythological creature who likes to have a great time, merriment. So when he says the the streams would run with wine instead of water, it's because Bacchus was the god or deity of merrymaking, having fun. All right. Not that it isn't always winter, wait. Give himself, again. Not that it isn't always winter now, he added gloomily. Then, to cheer himself up, he took out from his case, on a dresser, a strange little flute that looked as if it were made of straw, and began to play. And the tune he played made Lucy want to cry and laugh and dance and go to sleep all at the same time. It must have been hours later when she shook herself and said, "Oh, Mr. Tumnus, I am so sorry to stop you, and I do love that tune, but really I must go home. I only meant to stay for a few minutes." All right, so if you see on the bottom of 16 and 17, there's all these little pictures of everything that Mr. Tumnus, all the tales of the dancing. There's the stag. There is the dwarfs. There's Bacchus. So these are all pictures, little vignettes of the stories that Tumnus told Lucy. "It's no good now, you know," said the fawn, laying down its flute and shaking its head at her very sorrowfully. What does it sorrow mean? Happy or sad? If you feel sorrow, what do you feel, Emma? Yes. "No good," said Lucy, jumping up and feeling rather frightened. "What do you mean? I've got to go home at once. The others will be wondering what happened to me." But a moment later, she asked, "Mr. Tumnus, whatever is the matter?" For the fawn's brown eyes had filled with tears, and then the tears began trickling down his cheek. What does trickling mean? Trickling down his cheek. Wensheen.
Like falling down?
Yeah, trickling, just kind of very slowly falling down his cheek. And soon they were running off the end of its nose, and at last it covered his face with his hands and began to howl. "Mr. Tumnus, said Lucy in great distress. Don't, what is the matter? Aren't you well? Dear Mr. Tumnus, do tell me what is wrong." But the fawn continued sobbing as if its heart would break, and even when Lucy went over and put her arms around him and lent him a handkerchief, he did not stop. He merely took the handkerchief and kept on using it, wringing it out with both hands whenever it got too wet, too wet to be any more use, so that presently Lucy was standing in a damp patch. All right, so there's Mr. Tumnus crying, and you see his flute on the floor. What on earth is going on? I don't know. Well, I do. All right, so how about Jack, you read from Mr. Tumnus to where it says, "You are the nicest fawn I've ever met." We're on page 18. So Mr. Tumnus, go under the pictures and so read it to that. Okay.
Mr. Tumnus,
Bald. What does bald mean? Bald Lucy. There are lots of weird words that we haven't probably heard of before. Cole.
Cry.
Yes.
Lucy, his ears shaking him.
But Lucy in his ear shaking him.
Do stop it at once. You
Ought.
ought to be ashamed of yourself, a great big fawn like you. What on earth are you crying about? Oh, sobbed Mr. Thomas. I'm crying because I'm such a bad fawn.
I don't think you're a bad fawn at all, said Lucy. I think you are a very good fawn. You are the nicest fawn I've ever met.
Very good. All right, so interesting. Lucy gets a little, how would you explain Lucy right now? Is she feeling annoyed or is she feeling sorry for Mr. Tumnus? What do you think she's feeling right now? Jeremiah?
Sad.
Maybe a little sad, but I like when she says, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. A great big fawn like yourself crying. What does that mean? You ought to, why do you think she's, what's going on here? Mr. Tumnus all of a sudden breaks out crying, which don't you think would be a bit awkward?
Yeah.
And he keeps crying, and he keeps crying, and he keeps crying, and she won't stop, and Lucy's trying to comfort him, and then all of a sudden, what happens? What does Lucy do? M.
I forgot.
What emotion does Lucy show? Jonathan.
Tired of the clown?
Yes. Let's put ourselves in her situation. Has anyone ever been with a sibling or a friend who just all of a sudden starts getting really emotional and you can't talk to them or reason with them? Let's say that you have, like one of our friends who have a little brother or sister. Have you ever had a little brother or sister who start crying and you have no idea why they're crying? They won't stop crying and you can't get them to stop crying. Who's that? Raise your hand if you've ever had that happen. Or to a friend, or to anyone else. How does it make you feel when that happens? If there's no reason at all, they just start crying and you can't stop them. Makes no sense. Christian.
Annoyed and scared.
What's that?
Annoyed and scared.
Annoyed and scared. Very good. I mean, on one hand, you're like, why are they crying? Something is wrong, because usually when somebody cries, there's something wrong. But then you're also annoyed because they are crying, and you can't reason with them. Ella? Confused. Jonathan?
At first I comforted him, but when he was crying, I wasn't there.
Yes. So I think that's what's happening with Lucy. She doesn't know what's going on. They were having some lovely music, and then all of a sudden, Tumnus starts crying. Not just a little, but a lot. Yes, Olivia?
Once my brother did that to my other brother to get him in trouble.
Yeah, little siblings are good for that. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's see if we can find out what is causing Mr. Tumnus to cry so much. Boy. So on the bottom of page 18, where it says, oh, you wouldn't say that if you knew. I'm in the pay of the White Witch. Ooh. On page 19.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Oh. You wouldn't say that if you knew, replied Mr. Tumnus, between his socks. No, I am a bad fawn. I don't suppose there ever was a worse fawn since the beginning of the world. But what have you done? Asked Lucy. My old father now, said Mr. Tumnus, that's his picture over the mantelpiece. He would never have done a thing like this. A thing like what? Said Lucy. Like what I've done, said the fawn. Taking service under the White Witch. That's what I am. I am in the pay of the White Witch.
All right. A new character has been introduced. The White Witch. Dun, dun, dun. What does it mean, or what do you think he's saying when, like what I've done, said the fawn, taken service under the White Witch? That's what I am. I'm in the pay of the White Witch. What does that mean? Very odd way of saying what this means. Owen. He's what? He's playing with it? he's getting paid by who?
The witch.
Yes. We don't know why, but the White Witch is paying Tumnus to do something. And that something is what is upsetting Tumnus. Now, if you've read the book, do not answer this question. Does anyone want to make a guess? If you've read the book, don't answer this question. Does anyone want to make a guess as to what Tumnus has done? Have you read the book? Okay, what do you think it might be? Take a guess.
He killed his father?
So he just mentioned his father. That's a good guess. Maybe he killed his father. That might be it. What does anyone else have a guess? What is happening? So Lucy has met this fawn. The fawn takes her back to his cave. He starts playing music, breaks out into tears, and says that he's being paid to do something by the White Witch. Jonathan.
Kidnapped.
Ooh, good guess. Kidnapped who?
People or
Who is he with right now?
Lucy.
Yes. Maybe. You're onto something. I'm not going to say because we need to read to find out. Very good guess. Cole, do you have another guess?
Yeah. Kill Lucy.
Kill Lucy. So we are coming up with some pretty solemn, dark ideas.
Yeah.
Is that stemming from the White Witch? Are we assuming the White Witch is good or bad?
Good.
Who thinks bad? Raise your hand. Who thinks good? It's deceiving because of what? White is usually symbolizes what? When we think of white, when someone is personified as white, we think what? Ella.
Like good.
Yes. Purity. Good. So we don't know yet if the White Witch is good or bad. A lot of you seem to think she's bad. Why? Because of the Emmy.
Because it says bitch.
Witch. There's a conflict of images here. White we think of as good, but witch usually has a negative connotation, right? A negative viewpoint. So interesting. Let's find out, is the White Witch good or bad? Let's find out what's going on. I'm curious. James, you may start the White Witch. Who is she? And then go down to, let's see, I guess where it says, for the sake of lulling it asleep and then handing it over to the White Witch. Ooh, we're going to find out, friends.
The White Witch. Who is she? Why? It is she that has got all Narnia under her thumb. It's she that makes it all winter. All winter and not just Christmas? Think of that. How awful, said Lucy. What does she pay for me? That's the worst of it, said Mr. Thomas. With a deep groan, I'm a kidnapper for her that's what I am. Look at me, daughter of Eve. Would you believe that I am a set of fawn to meet a poor and
Innocent.
innocent child in the woods? One that had never done me any harm and pretend to be friendly with it and invite it home to my cave, all for the sake of
Lull.
lulling
Mm-hmm.
it asleep and then handing it over to the White Witch.
Whoa. I would say you all had some really, really good guesses. So what did we find out? Mr. Tumnus indeed did what? What did he do? McKenna.
Did you kidnap her? I kidnapped Lucy.
He kidnapped Lucy. All right, for who? Tessa.
The White Witch.
So I think we can adequately say that the White Witch is not a nice character. So I think it's interesting. So this might help us explain why she's called the White Witch. Why it is she that has got all Narnia under her thumb. What does that mean to be under a thumb? Does that mean she's got a giant thumb and everybody's under it?
That'd be creepy.
What does it mean to be under someone's thumb, Grayson?
Like she's the witch's ruler.
Yes. And she's not a nice ruler because she controls everything. She doesn't have a democracy. Let's put it that way.
Like King George III.
Yes. So listen closely and see if you can figure it out. It's she that makes it always winter. Always winter and never Christmas. Think of that. So when you think of winter, what color do you think of? Yes. So do you think that is why she's called the White Witch? Because it's always winter. Ugh. And never Christmas. So it's always perpetually, day after day, year after year, month after month, winter.
We never get to celebrate when Jesus is born. Yeah.
There's probably a reason to that. That comment, friends, is one that you should remember. It is always winter and never Christmas. What is the significance of Christmas? Why do we celebrate Christmas? Santa Claus, presents, stockings, candy. What is the significance of Christmas? Ella. Yes. File that into your file cabinet in your brain. It is always winter and never Christmas. Does that sound lovely or does that sound horrible?
Horrible.
It sounds horrible. So we now understand. So why did Tumnus break out and cry while he was playing his flute? What is he actually doing? What is he actually doing at this time, Owen?
Trying to get Lucy to fall asleep so
Ye-
he could give her to the White Witch.
Yes. So he was playing this music that made Lucy feel all these different emotions so she'd go to sleep, and then the White Witch would take Lucy. Not very nice. So now we know what's going on. I wonder why. We don't know. Does anyone have a guess? Do you think there are many humans in Narnia? Cole.
Because he needs money.
Right. Well, that's probably why Tumnus is doing. But why is the White Witch wanting to kidnap Lucy? Do you think he wants to kidnap everybody that comes into Narnia, or do you think she's most specifically interested in daughter of Eve and sons of Adam? What do you think, Owen?
Oh, just like real, like people, not farms.
Yes. So you think she's interested in humans? Does anyone else have a guess? Jonathan.
In Narnia, there's no daughter of Eve or son of Adam, so Thomas is trying to kidnap all the.
So you think she's trying to kidnap all the humans? No, we'll find out. If you know these answers, don't give any complete answers if you've read the book, because you'll give things away. But does anyone else have another idea? Emmy.
Wait, how did the White Witch know that Lucy was coming?
I don't know. Dun dun dun.
Maybe
If she has everything under her thumb, do you think maybe she knows who everyone is in Narnia? Maybe. Do you think there's magic going on in Narnia? Probably. Ella.
Maybe she has one of those balls.
Ooh, crystal.
You could see things, and then she saw that Lucy came.
Ooh, I like that idea.
creepy.
Very good. I like that. So maybe does everybody know what Ella's talking about? A crystal ball and like in fairy tales, they go to the crystal ball and steam comes out and smoke and then they can see what's going on. Maybe. These are all really good ideas. Let's see, what time is it? We still have plenty of time. Okay. We're going to spend a lot of time reading this today because really Tuesday is the only day we can really read this a lot. So we're going to take advantage of it because we've got a long ways to go. And we don't have a lot of time left in school. All right, no, said Lucy. I'm not sure you wouldn't do anything of the sort, but I have, said the fawn. Well, said Lucy rather slowly, for she wanted to be truthful and not be too hard on him. Well, that was pretty bad, but you're so sorry for it that I'm sure you will never do it again. Daughter of Eve, don't you understand? Said the fawn. It isn't something I have done. I'm doing it now, this very moment. What do you mean? Cried Lucy, turning very white. Ella, you can read the next paragraph. You are the child, and go and tell her. So loud, please.
You are the child, said
Tumnus.
I had ordered from the right was that ever since I taught them the daughter of the Lord, I was too passionate and handed over to her. You are the first child of me. And I began to be your friend. And I you to be all the time I did not when you were sleeping.
All right. We have a lot happening in this particular paragraph. So, Tumnus was told what? If he ever saw who? Specific. Very, very specific. You need to understand what is happening here because it is important for you to understand this. So, I had orders from the White Witch that if I ever what? Saw Tessa. Remind me again what a son of Adam and a daughter of Eve is. What is a son of Adam and a daughter of Eve? McKenna. A human. Has he seen a bunch of humans wandering into Narnia? Where do we see proof of that? So, if I ever saw a son of Adam or a daughter of Eve in the wood, I was to catch them and hand them over to her. Who is her? Who is her, James? The White Witch. So, what does the next sentence say that answers the question? Are there tons of humans in Narnia? Has Tumnus seen a bunch of humans? Somebody read, Christian, can you read that next sentence?
No. Oh, but you won't.
Oh no, wait a minute. So we are on that paragraph we've already read.
Oh.
And you
are the child, said
no, and you are,
You are the child.
no, wrong sentence. After I was to catch them and hand them over to her. What does that next sentence say, Christian?
Oh, you won't, will you? Indeed.
No. All right, I'll just read it. And you are the first I ever met. Okay, so he was told by the White Witch to capture any children, any humans, and we know that there haven't been any because Lucy is the first he's ever seen. I wonder why the White Witch doesn't like humans. Or maybe she does. Maybe she just wants to have them over and have tea.
No.
No? You don't think so? I don't know. Oh, but you won't, Mr. Tumnus, said Lucy. You won't, will you? Indeed, indeed. You really mustn't. All right. McKenna may read the next paragraph, starting at "and if I don't," and end where it says, "or whether it will ever happen at all."
And if I don't, she said, beginning to cry again.
Louder, please.
She's sure to find out, and shall have me tail cut off,
Ooh.
and my horse son
Horn, sawn,
horn sawn off, and my fur
beard,
ear plucked out, and she'll wave her wand over my beautiful
cloven,
cloven hoofs and turn them into horror solid like a
wretched,
wretched horse. And if she is extra and frightfully angry, she'll turn me into stone, and I shall be only a statue of a fawn in her horrible house until the four thrones at
Carpaval.
Harpaval are filled, and goodness knows when that will happen, or whether it will ever happen at all.
Wow, a lot has been said. I think we can truly say, go ahead, Jeremiah, that the White Witch is not nice. What is giving you, like myself, that feeling? What has just been said about the White Witch? How has she been described as to what she will do to poor Tumnus if she finds out he let Lucy go? What would she do? What does Tumnus say she will do? Not very nice things. Name one, Ella. Cut off his tail. Name another. Emmy. Pluck his beard out. What does it mean to pluck? Cole. Yeah, take it and pull it out. Ouch. What else did he say she'd do? Owen. Yes. A cloven hoof is a goat has a hoof that looks like that, cloven, whereas a horse, this is a horrible drawing, but they don't have the little notch. So he's saying this is horrible to have a horse's hoof. So she would do that. What else? Is there anything else? There was a very significant other thing she would do if she was in a particularly foul mood. Grayson. Yep, that. And then there was what else? There was one other thing. Tessa. Yeah, make him into a statue. I don't think she's nice. And again, this is a word that we need to file because it's been mentioned before. So in literature, friends, when you're reading something and something is repeated over and over again, there's a significance to it. You don't know what this is. Tumnus says, he'd be a statue of a fawn in her horrible house until the 4 thrones of Car Parvel are filled. What is a throne? What is a throne? What does that sound like to you? A throne of Car Parvel is filled. Winsheen. No, but what the word queen? That is significant. Let's broaden that. What makes you think of a queen? Because you're on the right track. 4 thrones of Car Parvel. What do you think? What is a throne? Go ahead. What is a throne? Owen. Yes. So if we think of a queen, or a king, and we think of a throne, and there's 4 thrones that need to be filled at Car Pavel, what do you think Car Pavel might be? Tyson.
A castle, and the actual name is Carapavel.
All right, so a castle. So we are thinking, so when he says Car Pavel are filled, and goodness knows when that will ever happen, or whether it will ever happen at all. Is there a conflict between the White Witch and the thrones? A thought. Why is the White Witch trying to capture humans? What is this Car Pavel? What are the 4 thrones? If you know, don't answer, please. Because that's just giving the whole story away. So these are things to think about. We have heard this repeatedly. Now we have just heard of the 4 thrones. So these are all things that we need to think about. Yes, Cole.
Maybe she wants to be a queen and go into one of the
Maybe. That's a good thought. Maybe the White Witch wants to be the queen of this palace. She wants to sit in one of the thrones. Good thought. Olivia.
I think that word was mentioned at the first part of the book.
It was.
They said it was a castle.
Yes. So it's been repeated. So I think it's significant. So we need to remember that. Keep track of that. What is happening? What are the 4 thrones? Why is the White Witch after humans? Ooh, so many questions to be answered. Yes, Helen.
I think I have something about what the chairs are.
Yes. You not read the book, correct?
No.
Okay.
But I think that she wants to capture 4 kids to put them in the room.
Ooh, maybe. No, if you know the story, friends, I'm going to reiterate. It's extremely important. The majority of the kids in this class have not read this book. If you have read this book, please do not give anything away, because if you do, it's going to ruin the whole story. It's like when you go to a movie theater and one of your friends has seen it and they tell you everything that's going to happen. Oh, it's the worst. Don't do that, please. If you have read the book, pretend you have not. Do not give out big clues. Please, okay? Because you will ruin it for everybody. Yes, Ella. Well, then that's the same, so don't give anything away. All right. So don't give it away, because if you give out big clues, that is a bummer. And then everybody else will not be able to enjoy The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe because you gave them all the clues. Now, can you participate in the discussion? Of course. But just don't give out huge bits of information, okay? All right. That concludes